Hi, everyone. Welcome to Creator Toolbox, a show brought to you by us, the ServiceNow Developer Program. This is the show where we demo new ServiceNow features for every developer's toolbox. My name is Earl Duque, Senior Developer Advocate here at ServiceNow, and I would love for us to introduce the guests that we have on today.
All right, thank you, Al. Hi, everyone. My name is Oluyinka Oginni. I'm the Outbound PM for Platform Owner Experience.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ravi Mantrala. I am the inbound PM for the platform in the platform space, primarily working on the ATF testing space.
Hey everyone, my name is Lucas. I'm RPM's counterpart. I'm the engineering manager leading on ATF and the feature that we're discussing today.
Speaking of that, so that is what we're talking about today. We are talking about analysis for test creation, all things ATF. We actually haven't had too many ATF episodes of Creator Toolbox. We have had some in the past, but we want to jump in, talk about that today, and especially all the things that are different for Yokohama. So I'll go ahead and kick it off and let them talk about analysis for test creation.
All right. So I think we already went through introductions, so we just go straight to the next slide. Safe harbor notice for forward-looking statements. If you're used to our videos on YouTube or wherever channel or in the Enablement Academy, you should have seen our safe harbor notice where we tell you about not making purchase decisions based on what we're going to present. So, all right. So let's talk about the overview of analysis for test generation. So this is our latest AI feature for ATF, and one of the things we try to do in this is to ensure that developers like yourself or ATF users like yourself spend less time creating tests and can actually use those time to do other important things within development and testing. So one thing you should know about this is the fact that it helps you turn everyday instructions into automated tests. Later on during this, we're going to do some demo where we're going to show you how to go about this and the best practices for having a good prompt and a bad prompt. The next thing is also it helps you transform plain text prompt into a robust QA coverage. So this helps ensures that your QA team is actually less boggled with trying to ensure that coverage is covered. This gives you zero friction and helps you move forward or faster in your development cycle. The next thing I also want to talk about is the support. We have another slide that's going to talk about the things we're going to support also and how we're going to release more support in the future. So I'm going to move to the next slide now and talk about why you should use this tool. So from our test and our research in the background, and we have some programs around with some customers where we release this prior to releasing it in public to customers. So we found out that this actually reduced the time spent on test creation to about 80%. And we're talking about you spending 20 minutes initially on authoring ATF tests to now spending less than a few minutes to create your ATF test, regardless of the length of the number of test steps you're going to use. For right now, for the feature we're going to release for Q1 2025, these are the support on the left. So you can see we're currently supporting forms, REST, server, email, application navigator, service catalog, reporting, and responsive dashboard. But what you should know is that all these are actually supported under the global and custom scopes. We plan to give support for service portal and out-of-the-box store apps later in upcoming releases. Now I'm going to hand it over to Ravi to do a bit of demo on this. Then we can move on with the rest of the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yinka. All right, let's get into it, right? The proofs in the pudding. So here, you're all probably familiar with the ATF screen in general. The new thing that you will see here is this button right here, which says Create with Now Assist. And let's go into that. And this is the screen where you will be able to put in your prompts for getting to the results that you care about from a test perspective. Now, a couple of things that I want to point out here. So when you click on this link, you essentially go into our documentation site, which tells you how to use this product. If you have questions around it, one thing I do want to point out here is, like, once you get into this, There's actually a video that explains how you can use this as well. I'll show you exactly how we're going to do it anyway. One thing that is important is the roles that are required for being able to use this product as well. They're all listed on the documentation side. You basically need to be at least a role that can write an ATF test or a system admin. And on top of that, you need to have the Now Assist creator role to be able to access this particular feature. Okay. And one other thing I'll point out here in the documentation space is prompting. We do rely on good prompts, and we have given some examples. Some of this I will cover in this particular presentation as well, in terms of what a good prompt is, what a bad prompt is, why something makes a good prompt and not, is something that you can reference over here. Now, back to our screen here. So assuming that you actually have the roles that we just talked about, now here we are logged in with those roles. So the first thing that you see here is, hey, tell me a direction, give me a prompt for what you're trying to generate, right? This is the difference essentially between how we're doing this now versus your traditional ways. You go into the regular ATF space and you have to click through a bunch of different test steps to get to what you want. Here, we're making that process simple. You can describe what you want. And for you to get started, there are a few examples that we have given here as well, that you can just click through and get to the right sort of prompt that you care about. For this purpose here, let's bring in a prompt that I prepared for you.
How many example prompts are loaded in there?
There's 3 prompts.
Okay.
There's 3 prompts. Essentially, you just click on this try an example again and again, and it cycles through the 3 prompts. Okay, back to here. So now we have the prompt that I wanted to use here. This is a relatively simple prompt, but what we're saying here is create a new user with the name Bill McDermott. We'll assign the role title to him, and then create a new incident record, update the short description to whatever you want. In this particular case, it's my new test record. We'll validate that and update the caller field specifically to Bill in that record, and update impact and urgency categories as well. Right? And then we'll submit that record, and then we'll delete the record because I want to show you that step. And now that we have that, we hit this button here. Then the LLM is doing its job in the background of creating the test preview for you. Now the system was able to generate a test preview for the user to take a look. And I want to draw your attention to 2 things here. You still have your test prompt that you updated, or rather you've written earlier over here, right? That is still available to you. Now you can actually take a look and see, hey, did it do everything that I asked it to do? We said, hey, I want you to go create a user. It did that with the roles. Then it inserted the record with the short description of my new test record. And then it updated the record as we wanted it to. This is interesting. It says submit a form. This is not something that you were probably expecting. This is a record. Where did the form come from? So if I go back and take a look here, it says, hey, go submit this record. And this is a point I'm trying to make here. The LLM essentially is as good as the input that you give. So be as descriptive and as correct as you can. But in this case, because this is something that I was not expecting over here, all I need to do is this. I'm going to go take this little piece off of the prompt, and I can do the generation or regeneration from right here. Okay, now it actually it does not have the form step anymore, which is the right thing here. Let's see. Now that I'm actually satisfied with the test that I am seeing here, I am going to save and open the test. Well, you actually have a few different options here. You could discard the test, which basically deletes the test. You can, if you like or dislike what you're seeing, you can always give us the feedback. That is always valuable for us, so we know what we can do to improve the product further. In this case, we'll save and open this particular test.
Ravi, what happens when you press that thumb up or thumb down button? What happens in the background?
Essentially, there's a record table that we are updating which says, hey, this person tried to generate this test, and we are logging that as a piece of information back.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, now we've actually created the test that we cared about, and this is a test, as you can see in your familiar ATF sort of a setting. It has a name that we were able to create for it. It has a description that it came up with as well for you, and then it has all the test steps that were expected in this particular case. And now that it's a active test, you can actually run this test if you wanted to. Let's run the test and see what it does. All right, we have a successful test over here. It was able to do all of or it was able to recognize everything that we asked for, and it actually finished and completed the test. Now, I will go back and show you something that is useful. So I navigate back to my ATF test space. There's one additional column that you will see here. This is called the test origin. And if I group my tests by test origin, you can actually go look at all the tests that you've been creating specifically using the Now Assist capability over here. And our test is right here. This is the test that we just created with Now Assist. Right. And there's our test. Now that we've finished the demo, we've seen how to use the product itself. I want to just take you through a few of the test prompts that make this work well for you. Here's an example that we sort of just went through already. I did test to create a new user with the name Isaac Newton. In this case, assign the role, and you're creating a new record and changing the short description, and updating the urgency and impact categories. Right. Another way, and a bad way, to write the same prompt would be what we are showing at the bottom here. Something like, I need a new user, Isaac Newton, to open a new record. Make sure it's called my new test record. Update caller to user. Impact and urgency categories to medium. At first look, it may look like, yeah, it's fine, but you really want to make sure that we give a prompt that is understandable, clearly understandable, right? That way, your chance of creating the good test is also much, much higher. So the points that we have to consider here for a good test, let's just go through that. We want to make sure that we specifically say, hey, you create a new user in this particular case. Then we want to clarify what the user status is, whether it's are you saying it's create or impersonate, and the details that are present in the first prompt are essentially just not present in the bad test prompt, is what we're trying to say. For example, like to medium is what the system would recognize. If I just say medium, chances are it won't really create or do the specific work that you asked it to do. Here, this is a second case. Let's look through this. Write an ATF test named incident record test, impersonate admin, create a new incident record, then update the record short description to test update field from example, delete the record, then log a message saying record deleted. You can really shorten that to the one shown at the bottom here, but a bunch of information is then missing in terms of, hey, incident record. Well, you're creating an incident record. What is the name that you want the record to have? Otherwise, it just doesn't know what to put in there, and you might still get a test preview created. Then you might have to go in and edit those test steps. Not the end of the world, but you could still salvage your test itself, but you could get much better odds by providing a lot more information up front if you can. This is a service catalog example, pretty popular among customers as well. So let's go through this one. A good test prompt here is write a test to open the Apple iPhone 13 catalog item, set a color to pink, monthly data allowance to 500 megs, validate price to be $800 and log the price. A bad prompt in this case is, right, it has to open iPhone. I don't know what iPhone is in this case. Is it a catalog item? What are you talking about? It's not going to understand that. Color should be pink. That might work. Data should be 500. Again, match what your values are in the file that you're using here. This is an out-of-box prompt. I could be very specific here. The 500 MB will actually get you the data allowance category. You have the category to be updated to 500 MBs, and the price should be 800. The dollar sign is missing in front of the 800. That could confuse it. So these are some of the examples, and these are the same examples that are also present in the documentation site for you to go reference again if you wanted to. That was it. Happy automated test creation. Hopefully this video provides you with a lot more of a clarity that you needed to use this product. And please do let us know if you, whatever your feedback is. We always love interacting with our customers and improving our product. Thank you.
Awesome. A couple of things that I was thinking about while you were presenting, both of you, was about good prompting, but also just from my own experience as working as a developer for customers, was those good prompting tips and tricks and stuff like that could easily just be baked into the process of writing stories. Like either the analyst side is like, hey, this is an ATF we need, and this is what we expect the test to do. Teach them how to write the good prompt for the ATF test right away. Or on the other side, if you're a developer and you know that part of your process is to create a test to make sure that it has ongoing validation and stuff like that, is when you create your quality assurance, your testing script, or your user accepting test script, just write it in the good way like that already, so that you can immediately just take that either requirement or testing script and put it straight into this analysis for test creation to just generate the ATF right away, so that you're not manually doing each step each time and or reworking prompts. So it's a kind of a good reminder to, it's not just good prompting, it's good for the entire like development process too, to keep these things going.
Absolutely. You're essentially talking about a shift left sort of a setup. And that's exactly something that we are considering. We obviously want to teach our customers to do that ahead of time. And for people who already do that, we are working in the future to be able to read stories directly and acceptance criteria directly, to be able to create prompts for them from that particular input itself, and be able to generate tests for them. It's a future thing that we're considering. It's on our roadmap for sure.
Speaking of roadmap, are there anything else that you would want to share about upcoming things potentially? We already showed the safe harbor slide. Is there any other things you get to share with what might be coming?
Yes. Yinka, do you want to share the slide with what is supported now, what is not supported, and what our plan is?
Oh, let me take it back. This?
Yes, there it is. So these are all on the left-hand side, these are all the categories that we currently support right now. And the bits that we don't support right now include custom UI, lists in general, and then a service catalog in service portal, forms in service portals. We are currently working on enabling service portal functionality for service portal and lists as well. Custom UI is not in plan right now. And the other thing that we are also working towards is enabling support for out-of-the-box store apps, writing tests for out-of-the-box store apps. Currently, our V1, we support things in global scope or custom scopes. We're going to expand that as well in the future releases.
And once again, that wraps up this episode of Creator Toolbox. We have a lot of other episodes coming and or already posted, so make sure to check that out on our channel. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.